could the company which lost the customer, such as my friend, could do some actions to retain the customer? Could the company spot some sort of non-satisfied customer and offer him perhaps a discount and retain him? And this is exactly the main point of the first model I'm going to show you today, the customer churn prediction model. And the idea is to transition from reactive to proactive, meaning we don't want to see the customer take a step closer and closer to churning to another company. And then when he already churned to another company, take some action, but unfortunately it's too late. We want to be proactive, to spot exactly the action that leads to a high probability of churn, take action beforehand, and increase the retention percentage in the company. This is the model that designed to do such probability calculation based on determined parameters. We will find what parameters affect with the most high impact on the probability of customer going churn, and recommend what measures the company should take to actually retain the customer. How do we identify the contract with high churn probability? So this model is trained and based on a telecommunication operator that offers various services such as internet, TV, and mobile. We have an historical data set of 12 months, and we pass evaluation on 3 months. If you can see in the diagram, we have chunks. Each chunk represents 3 months on which we train the model, evaluate the model. After that, we have 1 month of a gap which ideally the company should take some action if the percentage is too high. And at the end of the month, we get the actual result of the model. I will explain a little bit further. A little bit about the model. This model is based on more than 50 parameters that affect the risk factor of future churn. Parameters, of course, can be expanded depending on each business unique requirement. Some example of parameters that were used to train the model. Contract type and payment method. For example, if the payment method is direct debit or prepaid. The average bill or invoice and debt in the past. Contract duration, whether the client is 1 year with the company or 5 years with the company. It can indicate on the level of loyalty of the customers and impact the probability of this customer churning to another company. Number of active services, whether the customer is using only telephony or uses TV, telephony, and internet. And the number of new services or removed services of a certain type. Let's take a look at a live scenario where we analyzed and found the customer with a probability of 73% chance of churning. In other words, if we do not take any action, a month from now, we will have a probability of 73% that this customer will leave this company, which is a very high percentage and should alert the company and advise to take some action. We have the data that influence this churn prediction. Let's take a look. So the internet tariff was changed twice for the last 6 months, indicating that something is not correct, whether it's too expensive, whether there is something wrong with the quality, or any other possibilities. The payment for services is made upon receipt on invoice, not through auto debit, meaning he first uses the services, then paying upon receiving an invoice. And the client terminated television services. Again, something is not satisfactory. Now, what the company should do in this situation? The system analyzed and concluded that the client use of internet service will reduce the probability of churn to only 20%, which is a very drastic change from most likely churning to only 20%. And we also have a retention scenarios, meaning what the company should do, what action to take. And here we find out that offering a discount for an annual subscription to internet service and not charging for access to social network through internet service will result in a reduced probability of churn. Now, I'd like you to imagine what if we could repeat this process among hundreds or thousands of customers. How will it affect the company revenue? It's a good point, and I think it might very drastically increase the retention rate. Let's take a look at another scenario which also includes, we call it what if scenario, meaning what should happen to affect the probability. So this model is trained, of course, on a data set of churn customers, and it makes it possible to build such scenarios. We have here an example of contract 580 that was active in the system with a probability churn of 53%. Yes, it's not very high, but it's not very low. It's a percentage where the company would like to take an action to be safe. And the most influential factor was that the customer switched to a cheaper tariff with a slower internet connection to minimize costs. Okay, now let's see what we can do with this information. We've simulated that the change of internet service to the basic tariff probability, basic tariff, will reduce the probability to only 6%. Meaning we took a customer that we can as well toss a coin and see if he's churning or not, to only 6%, meaning most likely this customer will not churn to another company and stay and use the services. And the potential scenario for this reduction is to change the tariff to basic plan while maintaining a faster internet connection. This is the first model of predicting the probability of customer going churn. Moving on, we have the second model, the model of contract debt risk. This model is designed to identify a contract with high probability going into debt.